Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Gender Spectrum's non-binary interview series. My name's Jenna. I work at Gender Spectrum, and today I'm here with Spencer Adams, and we are talking about non-binary identity. This is an ongoing series we're doing at Gender Spectrum, really to just have conversations and talk about what non-binary can look like and mean and feel like for different young people. So Spencer, if you want to start off maybe with just an introduction of yourself, and then we'll jump into questions.
Awesome. So hello, my name is Spencer. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm 25 years old, and I identify as FTX, transmasculine, non-binary, and I use they, them pronouns.
Awesome. Maybe we could start off with just kind of what non-binary means for you and kind of why you feel like that term reflects your experience.
Sure. So for me, non-binary is, to put it simply, it means that you do not, conform or belong or express yourself in the two binary genders that this society, at least in America, offers, which is male and female, masculine, feminine, man and woman, any of that. Personally, for me, regardless of how I present, my inner being, I do not believe that I actually fit those two boxes. I don't really enjoy being put in those two boxes. I don't like being called one or the other as if there isn't anything in between that. I feel like that my existence and my experience is so much more than he, she, or male, female, or man, woman, or whatever society puts on people who have to identify as one of those ways.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what was the process like for you of kind of like finding that term that made sense for you? Like, where did you find your resources on that? Like, can you talk just a little bit about maybe how that went for you?
The process was a long one, but looking back, it was definitely an enjoyable one. For so long, basically all my life, I've only been presented with two options. So when you're only presented with two options and you've known for however long you've known that you actually don't fit those two options, for me, I started the process of trying to fit those two options. And that was, uncomfortable, and it wasn't pleasant, and I didn't enjoy it. And it wasn't until I found a YouTube group where I realized that those weren't the only options available. Tumblr, Facebook chats, YouTube groups, all of these things that I found online and social media is what actually allowed me to see that there's many of genders that you can identify as, and many ways people exist. And that was like a truly freeing moment for me. It wasn't until 2.5, 3 years ago that I found the term non-binary, and a little later after that, I found the term FTX. And when I found that term, it just felt right, and it felt perfect, and there was no longer this searching or trying to fit the social constructs that society has laid out for me since I was young.
In terms of identifying as non-binary, do you feel like there's any like misconceptions out there or things that maybe folks kind of have assumptions about that you don't feel like are really true to your experience?
A lot of the two major things that I get from people who, are just uneducated on non-binary genders, are just, trying to figure it out for themselves, is they believe it to be a stepping stone to something, a stepping stone to one of the binary genders, which is something that isn't true for me. Personally, I decided to medically transition. I've been on testosterone for a little over 2 years now, and I get the question a lot of, now that I blend as male, when am I ever going to just go by he, him, or identify as male? And the thing is, it doesn't really, at least in my case, it doesn't work like that. Again, regardless of how I present to society, my personal being, I know me to not really fit that box. It wasn't a matter of me waiting to blend or waiting for top surgery or waiting for whatever. It was just, I've never fit that box, and I present this way because this way makes me feel more comfortable. And I identify as non-binary because it makes me feel the most comfortable. It doesn't have to be, and it can be a stepping stone for some, but it isn't a stepping stone for me. And it isn't a stepping stone, I believe, for many non-binary people out there. It's just simply who we are. It's who I am. And this idea that it's a stepping stone or we're confused or anything like that really isn't the case, at least in my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that a lot of times because everything is so gendered and we have such a strong binary in so many ways, like folks really want to push people into one box or the other.
Right. And it's a spectrum. A gender is truly is a spectrum. I find it odd that people can't see that you can't stop somewhere in between. You know,
Mm-hmm.
have to be on the polar ends of things. Most of the time, most people in life aren't on the polar ends of things. We have moderation and deviation through everything that we do. So for me, I just simply am not on the polar end. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm right in the middle, but I have enough mix of both sides that I just don't fit the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes people are uncomfortable with that like gray area and really want to put people into like these categories or want people to choose one or the other.
I agree with that. I think, gray area, people see as messy. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for some people, especially as like for me as a non-binary person, growing up when again you only have these two options, it's hard to feel like you're the only one that doesn't fit. Um, I found a lot of the community and support that I have as a non-binary person is online, and it's not in real life because I don't find a lot of non-binary people where I live or where I work, etc. Not saying that they're not out there, but it's hard being the only one in your friend group who identifies as such, or being the only one in your classroom, or the only one, because then when you try to explain your pronouns or your gender or whatever the case is, there's a lot of people who may not understand or want to understand or grasp, etc. And it's just always having to be a educator when you just kind of
Mm-hmm.
want to exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Um, for youth who are watching this video or tuning into resources or checking out YouTube videos, like, do you have any advice for them in terms of, yeah, anything you would share with them now that you're a little bit further along in the process?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I can give would be to really just enjoy the process. I found that enjoying my life and taking it day by day, the little things that I like, my likes and dislikes, the people that I hung out with, the experiences that I had, these are the things that shaped me to be the individual that you see before you. And it wasn't that I was going out fervently looking for a space to fit. I was just finding people who accepted me for who I am. And as I did that, and as I took these steps, and as I went online and did these things, that is when I found the term, like I said, identifies FTX. That is where I found the term. I think it's much more pleasant and it's a smoother ride if you just don't try as hard to find somewhere to fit. Just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy the things that you enjoy and do the things that you do and find the people that you love and just exist in the world, and the things that you need, the term that you want, will come to you. And I wish I knew that earlier on, and I wasn't just fervently trying to find a space to fit, because we're all human, we're all different. Your space will be made. You'll find a place. Just find the people.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice. Last question I have is any positives that come to your mind in terms of how you identify? Yeah.
I think I think being non-binary is one of the most freeing things that one can be, honestly. To not be, confined by these social constructs and ideas, and to not be, bogged down by how society wants you to fit or what it looks like to be this way or that way. It's such a freeing feeling, at least for me. I can exist the way I want to exist without having anybody tell me any differently. And gender is one of those things that you can play around with and change and shape and make your own. And that's a great way to express yourself, or a great way for me to express myself. And I enjoy being able to have that freedom to just create whatever it is that I want to create and present however it is that I want to present to my friends and to society, and also have that reassurance and have that support where people tell me, it's okay to do this and it's okay to do that. And you don't have to confine and change and fit the box. I think being finally realizing that I don't have to fit a box was probably one of the most positive things, the most, liberating things, and within my journey of my gender. And I would think that that would be definitely the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that because I feel like for a lot of youth, they don't always get to hear that side of things, like the positive side of things and like the impact that can have. So I think that's awesome.
I definitely think, of all the things, all the journeys that I've gone through in life, whether that's, school or, sexuality or gender, my gender was definitely one of the most affirming things. It's definitely a path, a journey that I very much enjoyed. And though there was bumps in the road, the greater impact on my life and my experiences and how I view the world has changed drastically from just being able to figure out, there is a space for you. I think the biggest thing is that there's always going to be a space for you, and there's always going to be a community for you, and there's always going to be people like you. And if ever you feel like you're alone or you feel like you don't fit into one group, it's because there's another group out there that's better for you. And so always know that this is not you're not so different that there's only one of you out there. There's people just like you out there, and there's a community that's willing to accept you with open arms if you just go look for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great note to end on, that positivity. Yeah, I just want to thank you so much for being a part of this series and for sharing some of your experiences and insights with everyone. For folks watching, you can check out all of Spencer's YouTube channel and collab channel. We're going to link to everything in the description below on YouTube. So make sure to check that out. And for gender spectrum folks watching, we also have a non-binary teen group in the Gender Spectrum Lounge. So that's a great place to go to instantly connect with other youth who are going through similar things. Yeah, so thank you so much for being a part of this. And for folks watching, stay tuned for more interviews in the series. Bye.
Bye.